always hate this bit where you wonder. I think we are live. Woo! 2 seconds. We
Not
are
bad.
live. Not bad, not bad. Can you remember how to do this?
I never learned. No.
No? Oh, okay. Okay. This is some kind of live stream, I think that's what they call it. Yeah. Like these two blokes are still here, still alive.
See, when we were kids, this would be like space age technology. You know, this would never have
Oh God,
happened.
yeah.
This would, if it wasn't on the BBC, with somebody going, and today
Yeah.
we will be talking about the news for about 12 hours. But
Yeah.
now
We got two views. That's probably just me and you.
I'm not watching. I don't
No,
count.
I'm not. Just wait for some people to come in before we start proceedings and see if anyone actually remembers us. Oh, them.
No,
Remember
no.
them?
I don't. This is just two people talking in a pub, and people just wander over.
Yeah, yeah.
That's usually what
That's it.
happens.
That's usually what happens. Yeah. Oh, 5 people now. Whee! Come on.
Oh dear.
It's
This
good
is
to be
quite
back
bizarre.
on, eh? It is, isn't it? They always
Yeah.
like that waiting game for people. It's like, come on, anyone here?
It's been a while. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah,
It has been a while.
It's quite weird because still, even though I've been, doing this for a while, there's still a part of me that thinks this doesn't leave the room I'm in. It's
Yeah.
quite bizarre. I know this sounds really mad, but it's like it's only when you go out into the real world and people say, "I saw you in such and such," and you're like,
Yeah. I
"Oh
know what you
right."
mean.
It's sort of, it's really bizarre. I can't explain it. It's like one of those things that I'm sure if you're in like a big TV studio, like on television, everybody, surrounded by the cameras, you're really aware of it. But when you're here, it's like you think you're just talking to yourself, and then occasionally meet people, and they go, "Yeah, I saw that," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Really? How did you?" It's very bizarre. I'll never
I
learn.
know. Well,
Bearing in mind,
most of the time we
it's-
are just talking to ourselves, But
Well, that is true. That is true.
God,
Sometimes
no.
neither of us listen to ourselves. We just,
Yeah. Yeah. God, is anyone around tonight? It's so quiet. No one about yet. We went from 5, 2, 1. It's dropping around.
Well, that's my fan club gone.
Yeah. Not a single comment yet. No one, anybody there? God
Oh
dear.
dear.
This could be the quickest live stream in history then we've ever
It
done.
could. We'll go. Thank you. Right.
Thanks for that. See you later. Yeah, we're going.
To be fair, that takes a certain amount of efficiency to do it that quickly. You got to give credit. Like they have these sort of sort of 1 minute facts. It's like we could do it in like the whole live show in about 2 seconds. Edgar, the man.
Edgar.
Hey. Edgar's like the I don't know. He's just like the guy who I want him to write like about 28 books on Prince, but
yeah,
he's quite a busy guy as it is, but
yeah, just add some more workload on him. Going,
Edgar's knowledge is like I also want to kind of download Edgar's brain into some kind of hard drive that I can rummage about, but he won't let me. But I've tried. I have tried.
You tried. Oh,
Danny's in the house. Danny Tickner. Danny.
And Renee Anderson. Good evening, Purple Brothers. Renee. Good evening to you.
He's a key figure of the Purple community. I never know to call everybody the Prince community, the Purple community,
it all works. Yeah,
the Prince peeps, the
Prince peeps, Purple peeps.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, that's
I like the way you are on brand tonight. You've got the love symbol.
Well, that's what we're here for today.
I mean, really, we shouldn't call it the love. We should call it the symbol.
Album. Yeah,
album. Absolutely. I mean, that's, we remember those adverts in the Diamonds of Pearls tour.
Oh yeah.
Diamond has legs and wow. See, that was actually at the time that CD with the obviously with the actual embossed symbol was actually quite. People forget, but that was actually quite a thing. That was like that was quite an exciting thing. It was like, I mean, he obviously had the holographic design from Diamonds of Pearls, which again we were like, wow, that's really pushing the boundaries of it. And then the embossed it was actually at the time people forget it was actually quite
absolutely
quite impressive.
They only did it for a little while, didn't they? After that it was printed on the cover.
Yes, it was originally done, and then they stopped doing it. I don't know if that was a costing or what, but
I know.
I think the original is definitely better. Edgar says his brain malfunctions when it's downloaded. That does happen. He sometimes gets a virus, or he sort of gets corrupted.
I don't know. So we're all here anyway for celebrating and talk about the Love Symbol album. I can't believe it's 30 years.
Oh God, don't.
Every year now. Every year.
I remember getting the cassette at the time. I was on the bus. I remember on the bus and reading the inlay notes, and there was like those little messages like stay in school and all these things. And I remember at the time, and 30 years. Oh God.
I know, it's scary, isn't it? It's absolutely frightening. Yeah.
It's remarkable. Yeah. It's
I mean, in many ways, the album is a continuation of Diamonds and Pearls, but also there's probably more stronger tracks as well in some aspects. I think
I think the quality. I think the way he went for it. Obviously, you look at Diamonds and Pearls. You look at all the videos he did. The quality of the video. He always put a lot of huge amount of time and effort and production into that, and he carried on that with the Symbol album, and the quality of the videos, the amount of effort he put into it. But I think you're right. I think in a sense, for me, this Love Symbol album is where he stretched his legs more. Almost, he kind of it was like so it's following on, but in a sense, it's weird because Diamonds and Pearls feels more tightly packed. Like we're going for some hits, we're going for that. But like I say, Love Symbol, I feel like he's really enveloped that theme, and he's really stretched his legs. And we said before, haven't we, that when Prince has an album, like a concept album, often they're the best, whether like Rainbow Children or whatever, or Artificial Age or things like that. And I think when he really does that, that is just when he's on fire. He's got a whole kind of idea. And also the thing we should say about Diamonds and Pearls, and pretty much 99% of the Symbol album, is it was written for the album. It wasn't it wasn't like Graffiti Bridge where he trawled back all these songs from the vault and from ages ago. It was specifically written at a time, and there's that kind of immediacy, that kind of, this is what's in Prince's mind at the moment, and it's very much a feeling of that. But
absolutely,
God, I'm just rambling on already. This is good.
That's fine. That's good. I like that's good. No, it's very true what you say there. Definitely. It was interesting as well how they used to. I know on the 3 Chainz of Gold video they had this like narrative running through where trying to make out that the members of the band weren't happy about Mayte. Who is she? Who is this? And she's the inspiration for the music, and you see her with a little ching ching again on the band.
I love that because they had the little interviews on the 3 Chainz of Gold video, didn't they?
Yeah,
and the band members like, what is that? What does Mayte to do with anything? She's not a musician. She's not playing the drums or whatever. It's like they kind of like play this kind of a whole mystery that they don't know what she is, and they also kind of don't understand where she fits in, and only Prince knows. Which is quite interesting, because obviously that was part of the mystery for us, because obviously coming on from the Diamonds and Pearls tour, you see that clip where Mayte's sort of in Egypt, and you don't know what's going on, and it's the Crown Princess of Cairo and all this controversy, and Prince loves that because he fed into that with Kirstie Alley obviously doing the segues. He really fed into that kind of mystery, like the press asking questions like, who is this, and what's going on, and the controversy and the scandal.
Yeah, scandal. Yeah, exactly.
He really loves kind of playing into that. And Prince has always been, they said, I think there's a quote where they said he's all times a very public recluse, he's a very public figure, but he's also a very mysterious figure. And Prince knew that better than anyone, how to kind of play that. And I think this is a great example of it. And you're absolutely right. It's that kind of transition from the Diamonds and Pearls to the Symbol of the album. This is really interesting, because you didn't really know what was going on.
Absolutely,
and I think in a sense, sorry, just as one other thing, that also played into the fact that obviously in the original beginning sort of version of the album, he had more segues, and he cut those segues to put in I Want to Melt With You. And the thing is, then obviously that made the story even more mysterious, because some of it, I mean, it wasn't the most straightforward kind of thing in the world, but I mean, before, when you had more segues, it kind of more of a narrative structure. But then it went into he cut it to put the song. And I think it's always frustrating when you got to kind of make that choice because of the media, because obviously now, I mean, in the media as in like CDs and whatever, nowadays obviously with downloads you could make an album as long as you want, and it doesn't really matter. But I always prefer to have the song, and I'm glad we got the song. But it's also interesting sometimes if you can get to listen to the original segues, and it sort of does slightly change it into a more of a storyline. But then some people watched 3 Chainz of Gold, and still at the end of it went,
what? Absolutely. Let's have a look at some comments as well. Yeah, Symbol is by far a finer album to Diamonds and Pearls. can't believe it's 30 years ago this month that the Symbol album came out. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to come home and play it. I was obsessed with it. And when I bought the 3 Chainz of Gold movie, I'm still obsessed 30 years later. I love this era, the album, the TV specials,
the
comic,
specials, yes.
Ride Divine.
We were talking about that, weren't we? I mean, just the TV specials. And this is something you don't really, get as much now, but those TV specials were amazing, because I said to you, Dino, you not only have got the songs, not only have got the performances, you've got these sneaks behind the scenes of Paisley Park and Prince's life. And I think that was always,
and as we said, this was pre-internet, so that's the only chance you got to see this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
And we said before, you didn't have that situation where, in the internet days, obviously, when things come out, you tend to know a fair amount about them before they come out, and you tend to know tracks, you tend to know bits of the video, whereas those days it was like boom, there it is, and you listen to it on your own. Usually you wouldn't go on Twitter the next second and say, oh, this you'd be listening to it on your own quite a few times before you even talked to anybody
someone
else
about it. So
you'd formed your own opinions long before anybody's other's opinion. You didn't go into a forum and say, oh, this and this and this. You kind of you formed your own opinion, and then you listened to other people. I think it's interesting. There's one thing I don't get, and I never got this, was that obviously Diamonds and Pearls had lots of the hits, and it had lots of it was huge success. It was all part of that renegotiation with Warner. I'm going to hit 5 million sales. Get Off is a huge monster jam. Creamer #1. Diamonds and Pearls, big hit. But then it was a really successful album, and then people saying, a lot of people at the time were kind of a little bit dismissive of the Symbol album. They were like, oh, it's the Descent, it's this. And I never personally understood that. I don't know if it's just because a personal thing, but I really felt that the Symbol album was in many ways a lot more interesting and very, very I really felt he kind of reveled about in it, and it explored, like in a way, it's not the same. It's not, I'm not comparing the albums, but in terms of Exodus, he kind of just has fun and he goes out there. And I really felt personally with the Symbol album, he created some amazing pieces of work that a lot of the time we didn't appreciate as much as we should have. I mean, you take the backing vocals on And God Created Woman.
Oh, what a track!
There's some lines where it sort of sings Sweden so much, and you hear the backing vocals going Sweden so much, and you hear the backing vocals on 3 Chainz of Gold. I mean, that's amazing. I think some of that stuff is just phenomenal, and yet it took a long time to perhaps appreciate. But I never understood this big gulf between Diamonds and Pearls, and I know Diamonds and Pearls obviously has that mass appeal, but then I don't really. I don't know if it's because of the controversy at the time. Obviously, he's putting My Name Is Prince in there, and Warner's wanted him to put 7, but he said no. My Name Is Prince. Obviously, realizing that he couldn't use that for a while, and so I don't know. But I've always thought that it stood up really well, and it has stood up well.
It has, and I think it's a stronger kind of. It works better as a whole, complete album, I think, than Diamonds and Pearls. I mean. I think Diamonds and Pearls is a fantastic album. There's no doubt about it. But there are kind of those weaker tracks that Jughead, maybe, I don't know, things like that, Push, that you're kind of like, nah, I don't know. But I think overall, I know with this Love Symbol album, I mean, one of the first tracks, apart from Sexy MF, which obviously we'll get to, mega. One of the other first tracks I heard from it was My Name Is Prince, and then I can remember this so clearly because I was getting my hair cut, and I was in the local barbers, and I was sitting there getting my hair cut, and this thing is on the radio, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this? And I'm listening to it, and then I'm thinking, is that Prince? Is that Prince? Because you weren't, overall, when you're just hearing something on the radio, and then the DJ came on, new song by Prince, it's like, oh my God, what the hell was that I just heard? It was just unbelievable.
I like the way you weren't sure it was Prince, even though it was My Name Is Prince.
Yeah, I know. It was funny, isn't it? Yeah, couldn't tell. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Sometimes I had that with the song "I Hate You." I heard it, and you the voice, you kind of, but it just you don't always instantly click. And wow, so for you, it's really different. It was a really different.
It was. That I mean, that was just it was just mad. I was like, Prince is doing full on rap again, like,
yeah.
And it was just so hard as well. And the way he's rasping his voice in that track, he's just, really pushing it to the extreme. It was just wow.
I kind of like tracks like that. I think when he really pushes it, there's a few actually I liked it on hit and run as well. And I think and the video as well, he was very much, it was very much a kind of more aggressive. His face covered, this kind of police
gun microphone,
gun microphone, jumping off, alleyways, and it was a very kind of I mean, obviously, there was a nod to the kind of music at that time, but there's also that kind of, like you say, he was pushing that voice just to absolute, and because all I'd heard really about the album was there was like rumors that it's going to include Prince's most shockingly explicit songs and his most and you hear that so often, don't you? But I mean, it's like this time he's really pushed the envelope off the floor, and my name is Prince is it's a hell of an opener,
awesome, isn't it? It is. Let's have a catch up with the comments. Why is Love Symbol seen as a lesser album to Diamonds and Pearls? I think it's one of his best of the 90s.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm trying to think critically. Was it sort of mauled more than Diamonds and Pearls? Was it not as well received? I don't know. As a lot of people didn't like the story idea and as we say, the things like My Name is Prince or what's going on here. So I don't know. I think Diamonds and Pearls is obviously probably more a commercial, aimed commercially and at the critics and all that kind of stuff. You got your pop hits and everything.
I think that's a really key point you made actually about Diamonds and Pearls is very accessible. It's very mainstream.
Yeah.
And the thing about Prince is he was very, I don't know, hardly anyone who did it to the extent that Prince did. He could dabble in these two worlds, this world of big mainstream hits and these kind of cult kind of artistic ventures. And the trouble is, I suppose, when you jump onto like Diamonds and Pearls and you make a big mass market album, like Edgar says, in a sense, you kind of, people perhaps expected him to carry on in that vein, and people who got on board with Diamonds and Pearls may not. There were some people who would join kind of the Prince, they'd buy a Prince album who wouldn't normally, who would see the tracks and like them. Obviously that happened with Purple Rain. Obviously it happened probably with Bat Dancer, quite a bit. Obviously it happened with Diamonds and Pearls. But like I say, when you then do something a bit different, and it's mad to me because, I mean, I know there might be a tiny element. We often miss this. This sounds bizarre, but I've heard a lot of people in America when they were younger, their parents are very reluctant to let them, obviously have the album. Even though in the UK we had I don't know if it's everywhere, but we had a clean version, didn't we?
That's right.
Clean version of. I think it was. I think the explicit version sold about 3 times more.
Yes. What does that say about us as a nation?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, "Sexy MF" was probably the song that was most effective because it was like "Sexy Hour," wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hour. Yeah. And obviously, I'm trying to think if I don't know if I want to melt with you. I mean, God, that maybe they should have made a safe version of the video. I don't know, but But yeah, maybe it was just what people, like Edgar said, what people were expecting, and that's and that's the one thing we all agree. I think you can never expect of Prince, because whatever you think he's going to do, you probably do something different.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just it took ages to obtain those TV specials. A friend in the US had to tape them, convert them from NTSC to PAL and send the VHS my way.
NTSC, that takes me back. Oh my God, the American version. Yes. Oh my God.
NTSC to PAL. Yeah, blimey. You said, well, that fun with video games, that we can't. NTSC.
I mean, nowadays a TV special is probably available for download like 2 minutes after it's finished, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a different world.
Sacrifice of Victor is a true masterpiece. Oh, it's just it's epic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My name is not Prince, and it damn sure ain't Victor. Yeah. Oh yes, love that bit of that. Start opening that video, that show. That was the second show. We'll get to the shows. Wembley Arena, that was. But I mean, yeah, going back, just as you say, that whole experience of the album as well. It was just, I remember first listening to it on cassette, like you. I was traveling down to Brighton at the time. I was a girlfriend in Brighton all those years ago. I was 18. And that, as you say, because you've not heard leaks, you've not heard things before, you hear those songs like Blue Light on certain lyrics, and someone's done a pick of the week about that.
Who could that be?
Yeah, I wonder who that could be. But there'll be things that would just make you laugh and rewind it again. What did he just say? What did he just, and I missed the word. I just love that. when because you didn't know beforehand, as you were saying earlier. It was brilliant. The surprises, and you didn't know what to expect. Yeah.
Just imagine, I'm just seeing you like kind of, when they said, I'll be 117.
I know. You'll be still there, maybe not tonight. I was like, I love it. But when you think how many great strong tracks are on there, Sexy MF, Morning Papers, Seven, God Created Woman. It's just like, oh my God.
We said before, sometimes the tracks you appreciate over time and not the tracks you immediately, you're drawn immediately to the kind of, I don't want to use this word, but the kind of almost the flashy tracks, the tracks that are promoted. You're drawn to My Name Is Prince, Sexy MF, things like that. But over time, you like to say, I think tracks that don't get the initial praise, like God Created Woman, Blue Light, things like that. You actually, I mean, for me, honestly, it probably took me 15, 20 years to really get on board with Sweet Baby. Really, I don't know why. At first, I thought I wasn't sure. I kind of liked it, but I felt like there wasn't, huge amounts to it. And as I got older, or something clicked, and I kind of thought, and God Created Woman now I think is
that's fantastic.
It is up there. I heard I mean, there's not huge amounts of different versions out there, but there's a version of The Flow, the original version with Rosie Gaines, who sort of sings "Ain't No Stopping Us Now," and it's more Tony M, and it's quite interesting to see how he developed that. But for me, you kind of get drawn to these big hits, but when you look through it, the quality, from Love to the Nines, the Max.
Oh yeah, Love to the Nines. That's it.
Continental. Damn,
I love the Continental. That's one of my early favorites. Yeah, just that whole
whatever
bit.
You want to do, I'll make it happen fast.
Yeah, I know. And then when it goes into that other bit at the end, it's great. Tell me how you want to be done. That bit, it's great.
I mean, that's obviously which re-emerged on the Crystal Ball, and I mean, I think the Continental is such a great, when you see that clip on the video, the live performances of the Continental, it's a real powerhouse of a track, and that gets almost buried. I mean, you look at Seven. Seven is an anthem, a Prince anthem. It's one of those tracks where Prince can start to sing it, turn off all the music, and the audience will just
they're there. That's it. Yeah.
I mean, so when you look at that, and you look at 3 Chains of Gold, you look at that guitar solo, you look at that kind of, obviously there's a nod to Bohemian Rhapsody, but I think it's his own standpoint. And then, like I say, the Sacrifice of Victors. The interesting thing about this album is, you take Diamonds and Pearls, and you say, like, you think of a track like Money Don't Matter Tonight, and then on this album, it's interesting how he finishes on such a personal, but also such a kind of social and political statement. I mean, this is, in a sense, it's not your typical
album closer.
I mean, he did that, I suppose you could say, on Diamonds and Pearls with Live for Love. But it's a very interesting statement to finish on in that song. And it's I don't think there's anybody who can really do a track like The Sacrifice of Victor other than Prince. The way it's
that bass line.
It's hard to describe that song, but it's I think when you look at those tracks, I really think, even the tracks like the last minute edition of I Want to Melt With You, I've got 7 hours, baby, what you want to do. Such a cool Prince line. It's kind of like the Sexy MF, like you get in the car,
get in the car.
I mean, I could talk about that video for years.
Don't. Yeah, absolutely. And that song, the whole Sexy MF thing, the sweatshirts that you could buy, those Joe Bloggs, the sweatshirts,
because you saw the T-shirt, didn't you? And you didn't know.
I saw the T-shirt. That's right, the Diamonds and Pearls concert. Yeah, and I was there, me and my cousin, and we're walking around the perimeter looking at the merch, and we've seen this T-shirt, Sexy MF. What the hell is that? Again, pre-internet, you had no idea what this was about. And then you suddenly go, Sexy MF. No, it can't be. And then the video was premiered. I think before or during the concert. I know it came up it was played on the video screens. I think it was before. And then you're like, oh my God, that is what it is.
I remember buying the video, and my mother thought I was crazy because it was the 6MF video on its own. It was £9 in the UK, and it was 9 minutes long, so it was £1 a minute. And obviously about 2 or 3 minutes of that was adverts for like, you know, Diamond has legs and Prince likes
But I loved having all that bit because that was part of the Diamonds and Pearl show was the first concert I ever went to. So having that little, even those little segments was like, oh, amazing. Because I remember, as I said, again, walking around the perimeter, hearing that thing playing, like, and it's like so loud. You know, it's like when you got a concert. And it's, you almost feel like you stepped into another world. It's like, what is all this? And then you could just hear that bong, you know, and it'd go through you. It was so, you know, and you're like, oh God, I can't wait to get out there and see what's happening, you know, and watch this thing, you know. And then you got them on the XMF video, and it's like, oh yeah, it's great memories, and obviously the live bits as well are added. You know, it was great. You know,
that
really,
has to
really
be
good.
one of the coolest tracks he's ever done. I mean, just the whole look, the Chiquita Yellow BMW, the kind of whole the whole look and
the
feel,
typhoon,
the typhoon, the bit where he goes scrub the dishes. I just love. I think it's just so cool. I mean, it's just he's just it was a perfect Prince thing. It was just the epitome of cool. I mean, you know, it's I love the back on the back of the video. It says Prince steps out of his custom built Chiquita Yellow BMW and spits the invitation, and it's like the kind of like it's just, you know, and the horn work, the I mean, the idea was that Levi, he'd heard singing, you know, you sexy man. It's like, you know, basically took that idea, and I just think it was just an incredibly iconic Prince moment. And when you think of the things that people replicate, I think on the Blackish show, that it was Sexy MF was one of the things they chose, and I think that really speaks to it's one of those cultural kind of moments that you think of Prince and you think of certain moments, and Sexy MF it is definitely one of them. I mean, it just really is. It's just it's Prince. It's absolutely it's the reason we were all so excited. I mean, you know,
God, yeah, absolutely. It just made you love him even more. You know,
I love it at a concert because he would. You know, everybody there, 14-year-old security guard, didn't matter. Everybody sort of screaming, "You sexy man!" And then you have a car on stage. It's like,
oh no, it's just endless. It's just so good, so good.
Oh,
go on. I'm just looking at the comments. Yeah. Edgar's got, is Sacrifice of Victor the first full-blown autobiographical song?
I suppose it depends on your view of Sister, but I won't get into that. But, I suppose in a sense, I mean, it's a very personal song. It's a very powerful song, and it's very open, and it's not a song people. It's a song Prince obviously thought a lot of, but people often don't pick up on it. I mean, he played it on the video. He really, you know, it's something that you know, meant a lot to him. And as an album closer, it's an incredibly powerful statement, and it's very I think it's something that we come back to, you know, a number of times. And yeah, I think Sacrifice of Victor is one of those songs that, you know, probably deserves to be a lot higher up than in the kind of consciousness of the Prince world. Definitely.
Definitely, absolutely. And so I remember that because even puts in on the lyrics, you know, when you're reading it, it says, you know, about being epileptic, and it's in brackets, says true.
Yes. Yes, he does. He puts true. I can't remember if he does it in backwards writing or he does it
backwards, I think. Or
something. Which is interesting because then he talked about that. Was it Tavis Smiley? He talked about being epileptic and
to the age of 7.
And then he sort of he said an angel sort of told him he wasn't going to be epileptic anymore. And that's quite interesting because there's such a mystery of Prince that when he does sort of reveal things and become open, there's a tendency to kind of, you don't know.
He's telling it, what is it real or what's he saying?
Yeah, it's like you didn't know at the time, and you know, it's and like I say, you didn't have those discussions a lot of the online forums or things like that, so you kind of had to, you know, it added to that mystery. But incredible stuff.
So we've got Kirsty Tucker. Can we give a shout out to the video he wore in that video? I'm talking with Sexy MF. I presume we're talking about. Yeah.
He was amazingly the whole kind of I remember that I think Sexy MF. You remember on the video, Love to the Nines. I love that as well. The kind of bright red kind of, and the way he just announces himself, like the band's there, and then suddenly he just throws himself into view and it's like, ta-da, Prince is here.
Dressed to the nines.
And that's got a lot of humor in it as well. Actually, I Love to the Nines, where it's like, you know, when they're asking my take, like, who's the president now? Doesn't matter. And like this kind of he does a lot of humor, like say Blue Lights got humor.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor running through the album. Absolutely, yeah.
Even
yeah.
Continental, with the kind of,
Mm.
he's the sun, what it's like, you don't need a star, you need the sun. He's like
I
the
know, yeah,
epicenter of everything.
exactly,
It's
absolutely.
incredible
Hi,
stuff.
BB, oops, late to the party. Was watching. What's that? Qualis? What's that? Love these deep dives.
Oh, bless.
Welcome. Thanks for turning up. The love symbol. I was talking about the
Yes, you should show us your vinyl.
No,
on, yeah.
my vinyl. Yeah, I dug this earlier as well, because just remembering, the obviously it was this album the following year was the first time he ever played Wembley Stadium, first and only time. Obviously it was cancelled in for Sign of the Times. This was the program for that day.
Oh,
I know.
God.
There's only one photo you can find online as well of that gig, and it's just
Really?
it's from the stand, and it just shows the I think it's before the gig has started, but you can see the bit in the middle, and where the rig is and the stage and everything. And just, wow, is there video of that show? Does it exist? Did he have it recorded?
You've got to show us some of that program now. Come on, you're teasing.
Ticket. There's my ticket.
Oh, that whole I saw there was that image. There was
Yeah.
cardboard cutouts. I tried to get one, I couldn't. In video stand of that image,
really?
about sort of life size.
Wow. And it was just at Turnstile C I was at, and it was £22.50. Isn't that incredible?
No, I don't know. I paid a tenner to see Prince in 2014, mate. Wow.
I'll go on and we'll go through it, shall we, quickly while we're here. Let you remember this this program. I don't know where you can see that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That was great, wasn't it? Anyone else go to this show, Wembley Stadium?
Wow.
It was amazing.
I love the way that the kind of it's cut out. It's just with the symbol shape. And
exactly.
It's very clever.
Yeah, it's great. And then
Levi. Wow.
Yeah, Levi fly. And then at the bottom there's a picture from, so you can see it. I'm terrible at doing this. Picture from Morning Papers video, sort of.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those, if you flick it fast, he's moving, like doing
his
solo. Yeah, you know what I mean? One of those, yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah. Tommy Barbarella with a keytar.
The keytar, the famous
keytar.
That image as well. I always think of that image where like Prince just gets,
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's kind of like, that rebirth kind of
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things I remember about the show, was all the horn players packed behind 2 drum kits. It was like, and there was all these kind of supposed to be like desert rocks and stuff set up everywhere, and it was mad. And you had the cymbal rig again, but this time it was stationary. It didn't move. It was just in one permanent position. Yeah.
I love that image on the left.
Yeah. 7 there, definitely singing 7. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. See, there's the cymbal lighting rig.
It's amazing some of the lighting you had. Like, say that it was really huge, wasn't it? I mean, just sort of, yeah.
I remember the official calendar that you had loads of these pictures on the official calendar. Yeah, when you could get official calendars. And then I remember, there's this bit. Sorry about this. The bit at the end where it was all kind of little cutout bits. You could perforate them. Yeah, little perforated. These are all little square perforations. That you
like a little postcard.
Like little postcards. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Obviously, I managed to keep intact somehow.
That's a really cool program.
Yeah. So there you go, Wembley Stadium. It did happen. De-Influence supporting, absolutely. I remember that. So I like De-Influence. They were really cool. I remember that support act. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Danny says he was at Wembley Stadium. George Michael was about 20 rows behind us, and we all cheered, and he took a bow. That's amazing. Wow. Oh my God.
Fantastic.
Oh wow, that is amazing.
Saw the tour in the Netherlands and Belgium. I was a bit disappointed that it wasn't the Act One show they got in the US, but it was great. Yeah, it was a bit more different, wasn't it? What we got, they dropped that kind of. The Act One was more the whole album, wasn't it? And the story, wasn't it? I think. Tony Delta Blues. Hello, chaps.
Ooh.
And while we're here, because when he came, we had that one show, and then he came back and did the final show. Again at Wembley, but in the arena later on in September. And you got this one, which was the Diamonds and Pearls one, but with just a few different photos added in, which was really interesting. Yeah. And again, not so great a ticket stub. These are pretty boring, but there we go. Yeah.
Cutbacks.
Prince in the New Power Generation Act 2. Yeah, there you go. This was the night where he played Purple Rain for the final time. And he thanked everyone, helped him sing it. Yeah, it's amazing. But you see, as you go through, you go, hang on, that's Diamonds and Pearls program. That's not, you go, okay, 2 different pictures this time, but it was obviously, saving money, Diamonds and Pearls in that program. And that was as well. That's the same as the Diamonds and Pearls. Most of it is the same. They just changed a few pictures. See, look, they've in the Diamonds and Pearls. That's a whole picture. You get the other side, but they've just taken. Oh dear, put that one in, and you say the bit with that one.
Oh, that's a great
Mick Jagger talking about Prince, and that's all Diamonds and Pearls tour program, exactly the same. Yeah, and this was, as I say, was the this was the night that Bagleys, wasn't it? So.
Yes, the famous Bagleys. Yes. God,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. See, Diamonds and Pearls, all Diamonds and Pearls stuff. So it was interesting why they did that. Why they just changed a few photos and maybe had a load of these programs left. We didn't sell them. We'd just re-edit them, and do that. Yeah. So there you go. It's funny as well now, because years later, with the internet and with the community and you know everyone so well now and the names of all the people, but now when you read through, you go, oh yeah, him, all the people that you didn't really know who they were back then. People who there were some you knew, but when you look through all the crew, you've seen them all now on so many different things, whatever. But anyway, rambling on.
No, I love the fact that well, I want to know how George Michael was 20 rows behind Danny. I mean, this makes me think Danny was at the front and poor George Michael stuck at 20 rows back.
Oh dear. I don't know. They did edit out Rosie though.
Poor Rosie got a short shrift
Mm.
in a lot of things that which
it was a shame. It was a shame. I mean, I wonder what that album would have been with her on there. Yeah. Absolutely. Played Maid of Vale the same day as well. Oh yeah, was that Radio 1 thing, or was that?
Oh, the Radio 1 thing was fantastic. That was just one of my favorite. One of my favorite. The quality. I mean, the sound quality, obviously BBC, but yeah. But I just the whole era, like I say, was a defined era. And like I say, you've got the TV specials, you've got the concerts, you've got the album, you've got the video, and the whole kind of launching of this transition as well from Diamonds and Pearls. And the interesting thing, I said that this was Prince Vault was my favorite. Obviously, they said that it was quite interesting. It's the second and last album actually credited to Prince and the New Power Generation, which is quite interesting. Because obviously sometimes it's Prince, sometimes it was just MPG, and they said it, according to Prince Vault, it's the last to be co-credited to a band until One Night Alone, which is quite interesting. But yes, it's also I think the fact that these songs he was working on, the quality. I think it's a very consistent album, really. I mean, it's one of those albums, I play from the beginning to the end. I don't, I don't skip anything or anything like that. I just really revel in it, and it has even though they're very different songs, it has a very consistent sound. I think the quality and the way he did it was just, and for me, the horn work in some of those tracks is just, amazing. The sound feels very full to me, very, very,
definitely. I mean, things like Morning Papers and the horns on that are fantastic, and it just bam 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 bam. It's just amazing.
I mean, Morning Papers is just
that's a great track, isn't it? It really is.
I always felt like he just. Somebody said that he needed just one more verse to kind of make that a classic. I understand what they mean in the sense of like he has this kind of chorus, but for me, that's it's just a really powerful song, and you look at this the lineup, and the interesting thing is over the evolution of the album that the lineup didn't change much. The configurations of the album, the only thing really noticeable is he removed However Much You Want, which ended up on Mayte's album. But
that's right,
it's interesting how he sort of stayed with that vision and moved quite quickly. I mean, this is only I think about a year after Diamonds and Pearls. So I suppose it's but it's interesting how he very much came up with this. He was very much in that mindset. It was very immediate. you know, it was one of those things where he was just, completely in that zone, if you like. And I think this. I can understand why it's part of the not the double set, but with Diamonds and Pearls and this. But I think this
stands alone well on its own.
It improves on it, and I think in some ways it benefits because obviously, although Diamonds and Pearls had that mass appeal, this, like I say, he goes off in directions which he reggae. He has that kind of Bohemian Rhapsody kind of esque, Three Chains of Gold. The raspy rap of My Name Is Prince, the hornwork of Sexy MF.
I mean, rave music with I Wanna Melt You.
I mean,
this is the ultimate rave.
I mean, that's I think honestly, it's one of those albums where I think I struggle to find a song. I mean, I personally really like the flow. I think it's and the arrogance, which is very
arrogance,
much
like double arrogance,
sort of a Frank Zappa-esque kind of. It's a very it's a very it's a toying with Kirstie Alley's character, and I think when you go from seven and and God Created Woman, Three Chains of Gold, The Sacrifice of Victor. I mean,
I know. God, what a strong ending! It's like, wow,
it's a very strong album, and I think it's one of those albums that I look back on and I think, there's not a song I don't like on it.
Exactly.
It took me a while, like I say, to get there with Sweet Baby. It took me a while. I didn't ever dislike Sweet Baby, but I kind of wasn't. But then, as time's gone on, I've really appreciated that more. So I've got to say, there's not a song that I wouldn't gladly listen
swap
to.
out or take out.
I think it's.
I do love that. However much you want, actually. Remember that on Mayte's album? It really has got that Arabic vibe, isn't it?
Yes.
And that was a great track, and that actually, you think about it, would go really well on the.
I can see what he was thinking. Yeah, I can see that fitting. I think it would have fitted. I think it's obviously tight because of the restrictions on format at the time. But I think I think this is arguably like saying it in the sense of I have no reason why this wasn't as big a success. I mean, there were sort of other things going on, so it's not all success in albums is not all down to the quality of the music, or there's lots of other factors involved. And there was lots going on at the time, and Prince was sort of changing and moving into different areas. But this is an incredibly strong album. And do you know what? This is so weird, because if you talk to a casual fan, like somebody who likes Prince, but it's not really hugely into Prince, this wouldn't come up. This wouldn't come up in the top. Well, I say that, I don't know. I mean, the casual fan thinks of Purple Rain. They might think of 1999, maybe Diamonds and Pearls, maybe Batman. But I just, this doesn't come out, and yet this is an incredibly strong album. I mean,
incredibly,
really.
Absolutely.
I'm when I listen to it again, I kind of, those things where you listen to an album again and again, and then you don't listen to it for a little while, and then you listen to it again, you think, damn, that's good.
I know. Exactly. And Danny says needs its own super deluxe, and Edgar as well, including all the media from that area. I mean, it should have a standalone super deluxe, and it should include one of those Act 1 or Act 2 shows, if not maybe one of both, so you can see the both, as you say, outtakes, whatever there is, the full length maybe version of the album, or you could add that in, as an alternate, with the extended story.
You've got the mixes as well. And you've got the My Name Is Prince. I love the mixes on that. You're like, you better start praying. And it's like the really kind of hardcore mixes. You've got obviously the Sexy MF. Mixes.
You've got the videos, Three Chains of Gold. Video that could be reissued on a Blu-ray or DVD as well. There's a whole lot of stuff there. That you could put together and make a really strong, special deluxe all on its own, without having to add in Diamonds and Pearls.
Oh yeah, this is one of my personal bugbear. We cannot start ramming
stuff together.
To me, it shows like just a lack of ideas about what each era brings. There's more than enough, unarguably more than enough to justify a Love Symbol super deluxe. We don't need to put it in with a Diamonds and Pearls super deluxe. I'm not saying one or the other. I'm saying there's no reason not to have both. There's no need to start ramming them together. I mean, what's going to happen next? Are we going to put Hit one and two, and are we just going to put? I mean, there's no need. There's no need to me. it's a strong enough thing. You've got the tour, like you say, you've got all these things, the TV special, you've got everything. There's so much material. You couldn't put those two together without sort of sacrificing or limiting both.
Yeah, yeah. BB said, did you guys know Prince was going to change his name to Symbol before he did it on Love Symbol album? Was there any warning? Remember, the radio station is not saying his name anymore. The first I remember hearing about, like when he changed his name, was I remember a statement, and it was in the Controversy fanzine about him changing his name, and about, you know, and also
his,
remember about
37, was it
35th birthday, I think.
Birthday, yes.
I think, yeah. And I think that came about because of after that big contract that he signed, as you say, it came about after that, didn't it? He signed that $100 million, was it $100 million or something, biggest recording contract at the time.
If he hits certain,
it didn't turn out to be quite as good as it sounded. Yeah, you had to, and Love Symbol album obviously didn't hit as well as Diamonds and Pearls. So problems started appearing because the name change didn't happen until '93, did it? So interesting.
But there was this kind of this kind of move to you know, he was you know, playing about with that symbol a lot. I mean, when you look back at that, it's weird because obviously it's on the Purple Rain bike. It's, you know,
the original version.
I mean, it's been there all the time. But he was it was interesting because that, for me, obviously the very fact that he insisted on My Name Is Prince being released as a single, and I mean, he did release 7 as Warner Brothers wanted, but later, and I think he actually got to number 7. Bizarre. But yeah, he obviously wanted to put that statement out, My Name Is Prince, and I think
the one and only.
He was very aware that he had to do it then, because if he didn't do it then, you know, you can't change your name to a symbol and then say,
go, My Name Is Prince. Yeah.
My Name Is Prince. Yeah. But
my name is Love Symbol. Yeah.
There is this whole kind of fascination with that, and then, you know, obviously this is the very beginning of the well, I say the very beginning, there's obviously been tensions before, but this is the very sort of start of the era where Prince was, you know, looking at contracts and looking at you know, how he's treated as an artist, and that symbol was becoming more and more prominent. You see it obviously on that album, and you know, it is very close to that point. I mean, obviously, you know, Prince has, I think there was a quote where Prince said, you know, he always would start 6 things and only finish 1 or 2 because he had so many ideas. And I think, you know, this is something he thought about, but whether he was going to do it, obviously, exactly when he did it, but you know, it was clearly something he was toying with, and he was becoming more and more prominent. And he was also, I think he was just opening up his worldview a bit as well. You know, the whole kind of Egyptian, Middle Eastern vibe, the different, you know, the different ways he was exploring, you know, his music. But you know, the one thing you've got to know about Prince is whatever you think he's going to do, he would always
do something totally different.
Yeah.
Do you remember the statement that was put out? I remember around the same time about him retiring from studio recording.
Oh yes, he said he was going to pursue other multimedia,
alternate media, like live theatre and all this stuff. And there was enough stuff in the vault, you know. And I was like, oh no, you know, don't retire, you can't.
I believed. I mean, at the time, when that statement saying they're retiring from, like, you thought that's it. You thought, you thought, oh my god, that's it. Prince is finished.
Yeah, but it's just another little thing of him, you know, messing around with the media, I think. On another but related note, have you guys noticed how much reaction videos there are on YouTube? There are loads of people reacting. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Prince podcast, isn't it? Michael Dean. He does quite a few of those.
I saw he did White Mansion the other day. It's brilliant. I mean, it was just love. I love it when he sort of gets carried away in the music, and he sort of like he's having such a great time. And do you know what? That's one of the things I really love. Just the joy, because that's the whole point of Prince. You know, the joy the music brings, and he's sort of like, and I have seen quite a few reactions. I think HBK Luke does sound familiar. I've seen quite a few. Some people are doing
quite
not the obvious tracks. Some people are doing. I saw somebody doing the Truth album, and we've said this before, haven't we? We've said this before about, with copyright, we kind of just want a coherent position with YouTube. Now, it's always been a grey area. This sounds like talking shop, but it's always been a grey area. Sometimes we would use 6 or 7 seconds and we'd be in trouble. Some people would use whole albums and there wouldn't be an issue. Now, some of the time, if you listen to the song, the the person who owns the song, the company, whatever, and there's always about 20 companies across the world who seem to own these songs. They will say, well, you can keep it up, but we're taking the money. Or sometimes they'll say, you can't put it up there, not having it. And it's not always clear what the situation is. And some people get sort of copyright strikes and some people don't. Now, we always said, we want Prince's music to be out there. We want people to enjoy it. We're happy in the sense if somebody introduces a song on a React 2 video and does 30 seconds of talk and plays the whole song and thing, then I think yes, absolutely the company should get the money for the music. But I think it's a really good way of getting the music out there. React 2 videos are huge across YouTube, and also it's a very good way of getting to a much younger audience, because we were talking about this for ages. We were talking, how do you get to a younger audience? How does this work? And React 2 videos are brilliant because it plays the music, it shows people's honest reaction to it, and I love it to see people who haven't heard Prince.
And do you know what? I was just going to say on that note, I think React 2 videos work best when you've never heard the track before.
Yes. I mean, like I said, you couldn't really do it. You can do a React 2 video to get off, could you? Because you could just
exactly someone that's so familiar and you heard so many times. You'll be almost be going through the motions. Although you love it, you know what I mean. It's got to be something you've never heard before to get a genuine reaction to it.
So I think if you get that honest, kind of. And I love watching people just work it out in their minds, and they're like, listen to it, and they and when they're surprised, you see that a lot. When I saw one, I don't know who it was. It might have been Luke. I don't know. There's somebody who was listening to Lady Cab Driver, and they were like, listen to it, and they're just sort of shocked at some of the things he said, and some of the stuff he does, and it's just like, I think it's a really good way of getting it out to people who haven't heard it before and will hopefully dig out those albums. And this is a win-win situation. You play the song, the money goes to the company, you can put up your whatever it is to support the channel, and also you can put a link underneath saying, if you want to explore this album, go off here or buy it here or whatever. And I think this is a really good way to get, because Prince, we always forget, started from a bit of a disadvantage in the sense of, I mean, it was something he deliberately did, and but he kept his stuff on social media. He didn't put it out there, and there was a lot of thing about artist rights, and absolutely. But the thing is, now he's not as prevalent as Michael Jackson, Madonna, it's like that on like YouTube and other things. And I think this is a really good way of introducing that, because if you just say, if you're not a Prince fan, then you might not know where to start, you might not know what to do, and I think just having those React 2 videos, and they are everywhere, they're huugh, and the good thing is they're quite easy to make. So some people, there was one guy who said he was doing about 10 a day, 10, 20 a day, shouting about, and I think that's the point. If you get younger people into that, and if you start them off on one track and they listen to that album, or if they just put Prince on Spotify or whatever, I think Prince, in a sense, is a bit behind on the social media and various things, and I think this is a really good way of getting that in there, because there's however much you can talk about Prince and discuss Prince, like say, hearing that music, hearing those things just draws people in. I mean, it's when you're reviewing something as we do, it can be tricky. I mean, like Edgar says, his latest comic book video, he had to cut 1999 down to 4 seconds. Now, I've had issues when I've had Delirious on for 5 seconds, and I've had problems. I've had you've had more issues than I've had.
Oh God, don't go there. It's a minefield.
So I mean, we just want to know what the
years of
what
it
the situation is. I mean, if you'd have said to me you could play the whole video on YouTube and it would be fine, well, we couldn't have, we wouldn't have been able to do it. But I think it's a really really good point. And I've gone off topic there, but I think it's a very positive thing to get out.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's my point. Younger people aren't familiar and really dig the music, which is fantastic. Exactly. If it's getting through to new people, then it's a good thing.
We know, don't we? The demographic is slightly older. So
Diana Williams, hello, good to see you guys. Kind of off topic, but what is your personal opinion of tribute bands?
I'll let you go first.
Got me. I don't know. It's difficult. yes and no for me. If it's someone I've never seen before. Now, I never saw Pink Floyd, never got to see them, but I have seen a couple of the tribute bands. There's an Australian one, I think Floyd, and there was another one. So that was really great, and I enjoyed it. But when it's someone that I've actually seen live, I don't like it because it's not them, and I don't want to ruin my memory of what they were like. You know, it's different going to see the New Power Generation or the Revolution because they're the actual guys. They were the band. They played the music. It's them. But when it's someone trying to be Prince or Michael Jackson or Madonna or whoever, George Michael, I don't know. I don't get on with it so much because I just see what they don't do, or they're not doing what he would do, or that I'm too critical. I think I'm just like, no, you can't compare. So yeah, so it's an interesting one for me.
I'm very much of. I think there's a difference between if you're trying to be the person, which you kind of a bit, and if you're just doing a tribute almost to the music. I mean, there's a tribute band they're now called the New Purple Celebration. They used to call Purple Rain.
Yeah, Jimmy Love. Yeah,
and
Jimmy Love.
He's a phenomenal musician. He has a real live band, horns, bass, everything. And he doesn't try to be Prince, but he very much does a lot of obviously the Prince tracks. And the thing is, you go there and it brings together two groups of people. There's the people who are Prince fans, and it brings together the Purple community. And there's not enough events to bring together the Purple community, so that's always good.
No, that's a good point. Yeah.
But the other thing is, it also brings a lot of casual fans who just go to the music, just to see someone, and they might possibly get something through, learning about Prince that way. I mean, Jimmy Love is very respectful of the fact that it's all about, Prince did all this. They're just playing the music to kind of honor him. They're not trying to, be him or anything like that. And I think it's very much how it's done. And I think, it's very much what's in someone's heart and how they approach it. But I've certainly been to Jimmy Love's a few times, and it's always about getting people there, getting people sometimes on stage, just getting to enjoy Prince's music, to listen to it, to dance, to talk to their friends. And I think for some people that helps, just kind of celebrate Prince's music. And you see people turn up in all kind of different Prince clothes and things like that. So I think it's it can be, it's very much like a lot of things, like it's how it's done.
Yeah, it's good points. Yeah. I saw Jimmy Love, sorry. Before I think the band had got as big as he is now. I saw him at a Purple Rain anniversary. This is while Prince was still with us, and it was an anniversary of like the movie and the film, something that Mr. Greg White had put on. And Jimmy Love was playing there that night. Yeah, so yeah, I enjoyed it. He was good. Yeah, so yeah, I know what you're saying.
I think that's the thing. I think actually Tony says, like, it's about if you're trying to do a Prince impersonation, that's a different thing to sort of tributing.
Mark Anthony.
It's got to be about the music. It's got to be about the music. No one can ever be Prince. No one can ever be Prince. I mean, no one could even be close to be Prince.
Exactly.
But if it's playing, I mean, Jimmy Love, they play a lot of the Time tracks and various other tracks. And if it's about getting people together to celebrate Prince and it's honoring Prince, but like I say, you can't ever try.
Can only be a good thing, I suppose. Yeah.
We were talking about Timbaland, weren't we? I can't remember. Sorry.
I love it. That's why we always go off topic. In a minute, we'll be starting our quiz.
Oh God.
Remember? Yeah. Oh, don't go back there. They were hard.
We should do a Christmas quiz. We should do a Christmas quiz.
Yeah. Well, again, we did one last year, didn't we? Oh, year before.
Do you think we should do a Christmas quiz?
Should we put it out there? Should we come back with another Christmas
quiz? Yeah, I think we've got a topic, but I think we should do a Christmas
quiz. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Hard enough to say it, let alone do it.
Oh yeah, it's hard enough. Oh, thinking of the questions is the difficult bit. Oh my God. Oh dear. I don't know. Danny's left the building. Has he got to go, guys? Thanks for doing what you do. Love the videos. Love you both. See you in a few weeks. Thanks, Danny. And thanks for being a patron as well, Danny. I really appreciate that, mate. No, bless him. Good man. What else have we got? Sorry, I've changed the topic. That's all right.
This is quite good, actually. I think it's an important point. I think it's interesting because both of these things, the tribute videos and the reaction videos, are about how people access Prince who perhaps weren't Prince fans. Because there's different groups of people, like I say, in the sense of both of these things. This is going to sound weird, but like the tribute bands can bring Purple people together. I mean, the thing is, the Prince community, when Prince was here, got together quite a lot. and obviously now it's less. But that's why I love it when people have Prince parties. When they have Prince parties and they have a theme and whatever, they just go and celebrate Prince, talk about Prince, meet up with people, and discuss Prince. I like to see that happening, in Prince remembered in the music. I mean, in an ideal way, I kind of like I'd like to just go to a party where they just play Prince's music. There's loads of people who love Prince, and you can just enjoy it.
As it was discussed a couple of years ago, wasn't it now, or 2 years ago, when we were at the book celebration, having a Prince con, like Comic Con, that was discussed, and we sort of, we were asked our opinions on it, weren't we? And we said, well, it's a great idea, yeah, absolutely. If you could get as many people, you could get Rocket Pool there, selling stuff. You could, you could get Jimmy Love if you could, whatever, or performance. You could get, there's so many people you could get involved and have it like a Comic Con with stalls and everything, merch, and it would just be epic. It'd be great.
I think that's the thing. I think it's just nice to get people together and
exactly. Yeah, that would be brilliant. But there you go, a Prince party, you say. Yeah, absolutely. So going back to the love. We were talking about vinyl earlier, weren't we? So that was the one.
Right, show us your vinyl. Go on.
Show us your vinyl.
Get your vinyl out.
Yeah, I've only got this one, 12-inch from the Love Symbol album. I always wanted to get the Sexy MF one. It's actually the symbol. I've never got around to that. It's quite expensive, that one. But I've got 7, which is lovely. This picture disc, really.
I like the B-side, how it looks.
Oh, it comes out weird because it's blue, but it comes out like
this is blue, but it looks
green.
The
camera thinks it's a chroma key, which it starts to going all weird, like it's like green and blue screen technology. Yesterday we were looking, it started breaking up, and there you go, look, like it's look, there you go. It's like
weird.
Look, what's that all about? It's like 1980s Top of the Pops effects, but this is actually blue.
Some kind of trip or something.
Yeah, weird, but a great track and a brilliant picture disc. It's the only picture disc I've got, believe it or not. But then I didn't, at the time, back then, I wasn't buying vinyl. I was into CDs and tapes. I got rid of got rid of record players. So I've only really got into buying Prince vinyl since he passed, actually.
You'd told me when I started
a new thing to do.
Yeah, sorry, you'd told me when we were moving from vinyl to CDs that vinyl would come back. Then I wouldn't have believed you.
No, exactly. We've gone, you're mad.
It was all like talk of mini discs and God knows what.
Yeah. Celebration should do a European edition. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a
this
great
is one of those things that me and you, this is a wider point, and I think it's really important that Edgar makes it. They should do a European celebration. We've said before about, getting stuff from the estate can take ages and you've got to pay lots of charges. And we've said before, use they should send a lot more stuff to Rocket Pool to a European distribution so we can get that stuff, because we often, at least half of Prince's fans are outside America, if not more. Yeah. And Europe is a huge supporter in Holland and in UK, France, Germany. So it's like having like I say, a European celebration, brilliant idea. Having a European distribution, so in other countries like Rocket Ball in the UK, but also other countries, you can have a European distribution thing, so you don't have to pay, you don't have to wait ages for a product. All the Prince, company does is just send a load of stuff into like a hub, and they distribute it, and you get it quickly. You don't have to pay loads of money. And I think we've got to think about European fans, because they are buying a lot of the stuff, and they, Prince was hugely appreciated. He loved Europe, and many other countries, and just, he really, they need to think about that. They can't focus on it just being a US centric thing, especially in these days. It's just cutting off a huge market, but it's just also just doesn't make any sense. So I mean, a European celebration would be fantastic. Do you know what? I'd love that. I'd love that. I mean, you could actually, you could even we obviously went to the the My Name is Prince exhibition, and I think having a European celebration, I mean, you could even move it about every year. You could have it in the UK one year, France one year, Holland another, whatever. I mean, if it's in Holland, I presume we'll just go to Edgar's house. But generally speaking, I think that we need to think about European fans.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've had problems, obviously, order from the estate where it's just taken forever. And sometimes back in the day, God, even the competitions you weren't allowed to enter, and those clauses and caveats and goodness knows what. But
it's just ridiculous. I think it's a really good idea moving it around, having it in Europe, and as you say, like a different continent. You know, each year, whatever. You know, the Star Wars celebration is a much bigger thing, but they do that. Next year, it's coming to the UK again in London, so which is brilliant.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm going. Me and my son are going.
That's a good idea though, because like I say, it kind of it brings together a lot of more people. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. And you've got the XL in London, which is where they have the Star Wars one. It's huge, great big place, you know, for all that kind of stuff. You wouldn't need a big place for Prince, you know, to do that, you know, big enough. But yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. But there you go. Well, what's this? Going back to the Love Symbol era, he played 2,500, 3,500 capacity venues in the US. Yes, all those small theatres. Stadium in the UK shows how popular he was. Absolutely. I mean, Wembley Stadium, probably for that show, it was probably 70 to 80,000 was there, probably for that one. Yeah. I mean, the stadium's capacity, official capacity, was 100,000. The old stadium, that was just seating. But obviously, you've got certain areas they don't use the whole pitch. It was like half the pitch, I think, was standing, and the seating. So I'm sure it was about 70 to 80,000 that was in there that day. And Wembley Arena is about 8,000, I think, maybe 8 to 10,000 capacity, something like that. But yeah, as you said, those US shows. I mean, they were the first shows he'd done in the US as well for a long time, wasn't it? Because he'd, I think, was it Lovesexy the last tour he did in the US before that, or did Lovesexy play US? I can't remember if he did actually. I can't remember.
You're making my brain hurt now. All I can think of is Dortmund. I always think of Dortmund.
I know, that's the only show that exists in the Lovesexy tour. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think it's a good point though. I mean, like you say, his popularity. I mean, that maintained all the way through, didn't it? To the hit and run tours, to the London residency.
Yeah.
You
that
know,
one show alone drew more people than the entire US tour. Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? I mean, that is just, you know, amazing stat. That really is. I mean, interestingly though, as well, well, it's a great. I'm glad he did it, and it was a great experience. I'm glad I was there to see Prince at Wembley Stadium, but it wasn't a great venue for Prince. It's not the it's not the place you want to see Prince, you know, because it's too big. It's too big outside. You know, Prince being as, you know, tiny as he was as well. And if you're far away, I know you had the screens, or whatever, but I just feel Prince is way better in an arena, in a small theatre or something like that. It's just, I don't know. There was something about it that was kind of more lost on that big open air stadium. You know, I don't know. It was, the show was fantastic. It was brilliant, but just having seen him in the arenas and after that as well in other places, I just felt that it kind of didn't suit him. You know,
I was just about to say what Edgar was going to say, but in a different way. I find outdoor concerts do sometimes lose something. I don't know what it is, but there's an atmosphere at night. I think there's an atmosphere in indoor. I think there's just this atmosphere with. I think it affects also the lighting, because however good your lighting is, it works better on an indoor
once it's
dark room.
Yeah, if you're in the summer and you're outside, you've got to wait until it gets dark. Exactly.
Yeah, there's other distractions, and I think you know it just having those smaller. I mean, if you play someone like you know, when he played Shepherd's Bush Arena or places like that, you could just do more with it. Yeah,
I think the thing is, as well, is that stage as well for that one. As I say, it was quite small and compact. Like Diamonds and Pearls was big and on a couple of levels, and everything was moving, and there was a lot going on. But it was compact down to this small area. There wasn't really a lot of walkways and ramps and all that stuff going off. So, you know, you're focused on such a big stadium on this small little bit. Whereas, you know, say like the year before, I'd seen the Dangerous tour there, and you're talking, it was ridiculous. You got a stage that's split in two, and up and down, and fireworks and pyrotechnics and jetpacks, and God knows, well, you know, there's a lot to, you know, it's a visual show, you know, as well as you know, the dancing and all that, but it's more visual because of its stadiums, you know. As you say, Prince was way more better indoors, I think, than he was, you know, which is interesting, because that Syracuse show is an outdoor one. And you wonder whether, you know, the people in the audience I wonder whether did it feel that way. I don't know, because it doesn't come across on the video, obviously, like that. It's, you know, we know that show so well.
But then, you know, I mean, God, I mean, I just think you've got to have it. First of all, you've got to have it in the dark. You've got to have it Prince. It's something about Prince in the nighttime. It's just, you know,
so dark.
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but certainly my best experiences of the Prince concerts have been the smaller ones. I would say also, like say, even if it's a big stadium like the O2 worked because it felt intimate. I mean, it's what 20,000, is it, something like that?
Yeah.
But it felt intimate, and the lighting, and it had an amazing atmosphere. Even before Prince came out, it just built and built.
Yeah.
And sometimes Prince would hold on till he came out, and it would just get crazy. So I think, yeah.
Talking of, I was just going to say, talking of that, did you see the little tribute that the O2 have done? I saw it today. It came up on my Facebook feed that they've put like a plaque, I suppose you want to call it, or a picture.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
But what I loved about it is that they're putting it backstage so that every artist that goes on sees it before they go on, and about tributing his record run of 21 nights, that hasn't been broken yet, consecutively. And they've sent a copy of it to Paisley Park as well, so there'll be one displayed at Paisley Park. So I think it's got a purple velvet background and the symbol. Yeah.
Oh, I think if I was an artist passing that would be quite intimidating.
I know, but I like it because it's keeping him relevant to new artists that are playing it. They've all got to see it as they go on stage. Well, yes.
Yeah. Those were incredible shows.
Yeah, that's Prince's house.
Have you talked about your Ride Divine yet? Have you?
My Ride Divine. I haven't got a Ride Divine.
But the whole era, like I say, we're very lucky in that Prince anniversaries come thick and fast. I mean, we had the 1999 40th anniversary a few days ago. Paisley Park, I saw put out something, but I don't think the Prince account, unless I missed it, the Prince account did. So I don't think the Prince account put out something about the anniversary, because there's quite a few comments saying, 40th anniversary of 1999. But they didn't really comment. But Paisley Park did. So I don't know if it's just a bit of flux at the moment with the whole Prince situation. But yeah, no, it's it's certainly interesting. And obviously, I know at the moment it's sort of changing hands somewhat, and it's kind of there's a few things to work out. But yeah, hopefully we'll get sorted, and we'll get this big documentary next year, and then we'll be in a position where we can start getting those releases out, because I still think we're way behind on live shows. There are some tours where you haven't got an official document. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But
like this one,
yes,
apart from little snippets, there's nothing, is there? There's not a whole show proper.
I mean, obviously he did that with Diamonds and Pearls. The teasing, thunder, and you're like, oh yeah, and then
Live for Love, and you're like, come on.
And the love. So when you see those clips, don't you? See the clips of content out. You see the clips, and you think,
Tokyo Dome that looked like. I don't know if it was, but I don't know if that's edited. It might have been at Paisley Park. Some of those bits, I don't know, but
some of that stuff just Prince knew how to draw the intimate feel in the indoor place. That is so true. I mean, Prince, obviously, the final tour, incredibly intimate. It couldn't be much more intimate. I mean, it's something about Prince in a small venue, the after shows and the small. He always felt like he was singing to you, talking to you. It's a very it's an amazing thing to be able to do that to even in like a couple of thousand people. Whenever I've been to a venue when it's 2,500 people, it still felt incredibly intimate. It felt like there's something very, personal, very affecting. It's hard to explain.
We were sorry, I was going to say, we were very fortunate the other week to go and see Eda Nilsson at Ronnie Scott's, weren't we?
God, that was an intimate venue.
Exactly, and Prince played there, didn't he? During that hit and run, I never got to go, unfortunately. But when we're sat in there, we're realizing how small this room was. I think, my God,
I mean, to see Prince in there would have been so special, isn't it?
Yeah, all seated,
and it's hardly anybody in there.
Yeah, it's like a living room.
Eda was amazing.
Yeah,
she was very funny. A lot of jokes about her bass playing and but she was which sounds mad, but she was just amazing. I love that bit at the end where she said, Eda Nilsson said, she said, sometimes you sort of go to a show and you think it's great, but you think there's not enough bass solos. So don't worry, I've got.
I
mean, it was just
it was brilliant. She made a lot of references to Prince as well.
She did. Great. They played "Let's Work" 1999. I think, and she talked about Prince. I think to see him in that venue, that is an incredibly intimate venue.
It's so intimate.
It's actually quite a strange venue, because obviously it's seated. But you kind of like got these little benches in front of you because when we were there, people were having food and dinner and 3-course meals. It was just really strange.
They're just eating their meals while the act's playing. It's like it's just somewhere you go for dinner.
Wasn't
There happens to be somebody playing, in the background.
It was like Edie Nielsen was playing, and then people were bringing over like fish and dishes, and people just sort of tucking in, and it's like it's very strange.
It was interesting. I don't know. Oh look, what we got here? So Edgar Cruz. Most European shows are relatively small in '93. Yeah, the UK he did a few stadiums, Wembley, Edinburgh, so he had to use that smaller stage in those stadiums. I see. That explains that. Yeah, absolutely. Oh look, there's the wife. Oh, I didn't pay her to watch, honestly.
That's not what
listening and watching on the road. Love you loads. Oh, love you too. 21 Nights should definitely be released.
Oh, how many times we said that? It's just such a no-brainer. They should have released it. Quite frankly, Prince should have released it that Christmas, I think. But it's certainly be released now. It's all filmed. It's just the whole package. You could put the book out there again. It's just everything was filmed. We saw it with the cameras. It's a brilliant show. It's one of Prince's most amazing shows. So many people. I mean, God, I can't remember now, but it was about 500,000 people, wasn't it? It was crazy amounts of people. So just release it now. Just drives me spare the amount of stuff that it just is there and waiting, and let's get it out there because somebody was talking the other day about, was it Bruce Springsteen, and he's got a website and you can download, and they go live show after live show. They're adding every day. It's like 20 live shows more, 30 live shows more. I just
it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing.
We for Prince, for me, Prince is the greatest live performer ever, and yet.
Not just that, he probably played more live shows than any artist in the history.
It's crazy.
If you include all the after shows and the
that's the thing. There should be so much out there. I mean, when there's whole tours missing, but
terrible, big chunks missing. Fish, course, while Ida plays. No.
It was weird. I mean, it was weird for me because I've never sort of been to a sort of gig where usually with a gig you're kind of up there and you're kind of get into it, and it's like it's kind of weird, and people just having sort of waiters bring them fish, and I just think it was very odd to me. But it's a very select jazz club apparently.
Very select.
That's why we were shoved right at the back to sort of keep out of everybody's way.
But what I would say about that night as well was very interesting is that there wasn't many people that we knew. So there wasn't, you go to a gig, MPG, whatever it is, there's always, a core group of people, isn't there? Purple peeps, as we call them. And we didn't really see many of them. So a lot of people, so it was good because it was like maybe they were getting, just music lovers, just go there to whoever's playing. But
I think so. With Ronnie Scott's, I think it's sort of people go there to see whoever is. But it's a different audience to normal. I would say.
So getting an introduction because she was playing some of Prince, was talking about him, so that was nice, So
Christy says Prince shows were so intimate it almost felt like he was behind you, like that Purple Rain scene. It's true. It's true. It's weird. I mean, he could do that, like I say, even in Syracuse, but even in these big. It always feels very intimate. I think the thing with Prince, you're just drawn in, and that's a sign of an absolute genius.
NPG in Cork now. Yeah, that's right. The first time since '92.
Yes. I don't really understand because they were sort of obviously in the UK, in England, and then they sort of.
I thought that was the end of the tour. I thought that.
But they sort of went and then Cork. Yeah, I mean, the wrong place for place. Tony said, "Oh, Tony." You're right, though. It was just, it was very. I mean, she, Ida just.
It wasn't odd. It was cod. Yeah.
It was. It was amazing to see it, and she's very incredibly talented. And like I said, she's probably of the Prince. Obviously, MPG are touring, and she tours all the time. She's probably the hardest working I've seen. She's just constantly doing gigs all the time across Europe and stuff like that.
She played with the MPG earlier this year as well, didn't she?
Yeah. I mean, we were going to see the Revolution back, weren't we?
Pre-COVID, just before COVID happened, we had tickets. And it got cancelled obviously because of COVID, and then nothing's ever been announced since, is it? So is that ever going to happen again? Are the Revolution even still playing gigs? I don't think they are they?
That's the thing. It's got to be a kind of labour of love for them, because I think with the gigs they were doing, they couldn't have been making very much. There's a lot of things in the world now, various financial things, and if you break even, you're doing well nowadays. There's a lot of article now about. I saw an article yesterday about how musicians are struggling now to make money touring, which is mad because it used to be the case that originally in the olden days you tour to promote the album. Then you got to the point where the tours were the thing that made the money, and like Prince did with 21 Nights, you give away the album for free. But now it's to that point where even touring, they say, is costing them money. They said some people are going, unless you're a huge act, it's costing you money to go on tour, which is crazy because you think the live music would be the one thing that would, but there's various reasons for that.
No matter, yeah.
I mean, Prince could always do that. Prince could always, whatever happened, he could always turn around, and if he wanted 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, for a concert, he could do it, and he could tour, and he would always. There are people who I know people actually who hadn't bought a Prince album for like 15 years, but they would always go to see Prince live.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how even if they
one of those things you had to do. Yeah.
I mean, they would go and see Prince live. They couldn't tell you anything about the last 10 years of what he'd done album wise, but they would always see him live because
he was incredible in the fact that he could go all those many years, without having hit singles, without having albums at #1, and still sell out, the O2 Arena for 21 nights. You know what I mean? And no one else could do that. Even the acts that are having the hits can't sell out 21 nights, but Prince can. And
when we were queuing outside, I was queuing outside Shepherd's Bush to get in, and we were queuing there for like, I can't remember, it was like 6 or 7 hours. And people would come up, lots of people came up to us in the queue, just passed us by and said, what are you queuing for? And we go, oh, we're queuing for Prince. And they go, oh, cool, yeah, right, fair enough. And it was always this kind of like, oh, fair play if it's Prince.
Yeah, we'll keep for that. Yeah,
might as well. I mean,
might as well,
you could see what even right to the end with the piano and microphone tour, and we had all those windows on our computer open, ready to book the tickets. And I mean, the demand for that. The touts were, well, we know, charging thousands, and I think it's testament to Prince that very few artists could do that, for that length of time. But also, like I say, even if it's just him and the piano, Prince said, I'm quoting badly, but he basically said, if you kind of treat your audience with respect, that you can change over time, you can try new things, and your audience will come with you, and they will kind of appreciate those things. Different people, different things. And he always said if you sold one copy of an album, it's kind of a success. But it's that fact that Prince didn't just always do the same thing. He would do these different things, and I think it's a testament to his live performance that right to the end he could still command high prices. And I mean, he would be paid millions for that. And I think that needs to be documented more, because people don't know enough about his live performance.
Yeah, well, as you said, see this cane, see this ring, it's been wonderful.
I love that interview. And I think also Tony makes a good point about respect. I think the respect not only of fans, but the true respect is also the respect of other musicians. They all respect Prince. They might not. There are artists who don't even, other musicians who might not even personally like Prince, but they respect him.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. Prince is admired amongst the community and held up as a kind of he was a genius. And I mean, it sounds, I don't mean it in a depressing way, but I'm not going to see someone like that ever again.
No,
there's not going to be
to that level. No,
it's not going to happen.
No,
it's just not going to happen. I mean, it's sometimes you almost think, did this guy really do all the things he did? How did he fit it all in? How did he create? I mean, sometimes, and this sounds a mad comment, but sometimes you see all the photo shoots he did, you see all the images he did, you see all the creativity in terms of other designs away from music, and you think, how this guy? I mean, I know infamously he didn't really sleep, but I just sometimes it astounds me how he produced the quality and the creativity that he produced.
Have you seen? So Susan Rogers talks about it quite recently. Have you seen that Sunset Sound interview? Really, really good.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's about an hour and 50 minutes, I think, or something. It's on YouTube. I've watched about half of it, but she goes, he was hyper creative. And she said there's not many people that she's ever come across in the world, that have this hyper creativity. She said where she talks about the gates of in your mind of when a normal person, when you want to be creative and when you want to think about something, you're going to do something, you create it, whatever. you go through that process. But it said, but for someone like Prince, the gates are permanently open. So that part of your mind, so it's constantly flooding in all the time. I can't describe that. Go and watch it, because she's
that
very,
kind of ties
very,
in.
she's very, very intelligent and interesting.
She's an amazing. I mean, it's that kind of ties into Prince. He said something once about how it's like a gift and a curse. He'd be brushing his teeth and the bass line would come through, and I think, like
exactly,
you say, he couldn't turn it off.
Got to go. Get the bass quickly. Because
he couldn't turn it off if he's like. I remember this bit where like he's sort of saying to Peggy McCreary and saying, "I'm losing my groove," and it's like, I've got to get this down so the next idea can come along, and it's that idea, like you say, he couldn't stop it.
Yeah, he couldn't stop it. And she describes it brilliantly. Yeah. Because
they said that most artists would they have an idea for an album, they spend a certain amount of time writing it, then they spend a certain amount of time getting the musicians, then they spend a certain amount of time of editing it. Prince, he's written it, he laid it down, played the music, put the vocals down, mixed it, recorded it, done, gone.
Yeah,
that's 30-40 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just say, that period, that mid-80s period as well, and I mean, you had all those things going on at once. It was just unbelievable. The time, Vanity Hour, Apollonia, the Purple Rain movie, everything that he was doing all at once was just unbelievable. I mean, what 24-year-old pictures a Hollywood movie? And
that's the thing. They said he's inspired by like the film
incredible.
The Idolmaker, but to do that at that age, that's also freaky to me. Because I don't know about you, but when I think about what I was like in my 20s, there's no way.
No way. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that's why you say there'll never be another person like that.
The drive he had. I mean, there was a line he talked about when he was a kid, and they said there's an interview where they said, was being poor, did that sort of motivate you? And he said, well, being poor kind of made me realize how hard I'd have to work to get success. And the thing about Prince is he just he was just incredibly hardworking, but he just also had that creativity, and it wasn't a job. It was just him.
So he did. Yeah.
I mean, day in, day out, he couldn't stop. And that's absolutely true. I mean,
that's good.
Let's see the back of your t-shirt, Mr. Ants.
Oh God! You got to turn around, because I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
Oh, nice.
Nice. I don't know. I can't pick between Love Symbol, Diamonds and Pearls. Well, you don't have to. They're both great in their own ways. That's the best way to look at it.
You're right. It's like one of those things. You see them on Facebook and you see on Twitter. It's like, you must choose. Like, no, it's okay.
No,
it's okay.
No.
You can listen to. But that's the thing about Prince.
Yeah.
Some days I'm in the mood for this, and some days I'm in the mood for that.
Exactly. I guess Prince was so revered as a live musician, even his peers wanted to see him live. Absolutely. George Michael, for example. Yeah, I mean, any of his big shows, the VIP areas were cram packed with, pop stars and musicians who wanted to see him. Absolutely.
Well, people forget, even from the early days, even from the Dirty Mind era, obviously the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger was, a big fan. Lots of musicians, really, they know what he can do, and I think that's the thing. He has respect from, if you're a bassist, if you're a drummer, if you're a singer, if you're a producer, if you're a businessman, a music businessman. I mean, he has respect across the board.
Yeah, Sunset Sound interview is amazing. Absolutely, you should watch it. Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, give it a watch. It's brilliant.
Because I think Susan's got a book out now, hasn't she? Or coming out shortly.
Yes, she has.
Like. And
that's right.
I think she did an interview with Chris Johnson. I've got to watch from Purple Nights. So yeah. Cool.
I imagine Prince had 6, maybe 7 songs running in his head at one time, maybe even more. Kirsty, amazing. Yeah, yes. How he concentrated on one thing and got one thing finished when there was so much going on in his head.
For me, that's the fascinating thing. I'd always like to see. I'm always interested in the kind of. There's a line in the interview with Chris Rock where Chris Rock says basically he feels that him and Prince in a sense have something in common, that they're both in a sense writers, because they sit down and they either write comedy or they write the songs. And I think seeing Prince write those songs and have those ideas, because there's a quote where he said about he would ball up and screw up loads of pieces of paper before he got exactly what he wanted, and just that creative process of how he did that and how he wrote those songs, and how he kind of put the lyrics together and how he changed the things. I think Prince doesn't get enough credit for not only having the ideas, but putting the ideas in. He always had a way of doing that with a song, of putting it out in the best possible way he could put it out, if you see what I mean. He would put it out in such a way that he'd make the most of that idea. And that's because you could have brilliant ideas, but if you can't make them into the thing, it's only going to get you so far.
Exactly. Is that a cloud guitar? I was waiting for him to mention that.
Don't start.
Yeah. Honestly, there's not a day goes by when I don't look at that, and I'm just so grateful and honoured to have. Even though it's not a Rusin, I'd love a Dave Rusin original, but I'd have to rob a bank. Again, you should follow on Facebook. You should follow Dave Rusin. He's on there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, Dave Rusin. Dave Rusin, A, he's a great guy, and B, a very talented guy. And you see the work and the craftsmanship he puts into the guitars. It's crazy. I mean, some of the things I never would have thought of. And he creates often. At the moment, he's created sort of these bespoke different colours.
Yes.
Prince guitars. So he's on Facebook, Dave Rusan. That's Rusan, and it's just he's just an incredibly knowledgeable guy, and it just really fascinates me. He is an absolute genius at what he does.
And it's good that he won his fight as well with the estate, and he's able to carry on and produce the guitars as well. So.
Yes, because I think the purple world is big enough to embrace everybody, and we need everybody. We said about Prince's legacy, and Prince's legacy is obviously his music and his other works, ranging from films, comic books, you name it, or whatever. But also, it's part of it is just everybody doing their own little thing, and it could be different. It could be, it could be whatever you want to do. If it could be listening to Prince, it could be talking about Prince, whatever.
Especially as the estate have stopped selling the guitars themselves as well. So, you got to get one from somewhere.
I think it's going to take. I don't know. I think I can see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I can see it taking a while to sort. I know it's supposed to be, in a sense, it's sorted, the Prince estate, but in a sense, it's not, because there's still two blocks. But it's going to be taking a while.
It's an interesting comment from Edgar. The guitar line from Raven to the Joy Fantastic from '88 was used on the Max on the Love Symbol album.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I mean, that is such a. I think that's the thing about the Max. It's just you can relax now. The Max is in control.
The Max is in control.
That lead line is just that's brilliant. Again, the Max.
Another infectious hook.
I mean,
I love the video where he spins on his belly on the piano.
Yes.
How does he do that? And then lands and hits the keys. Like, what the
hell? I mean, that's the thing when you look at these. The Max is a very strong. These are incredibly strong songs. I just this album on any given day can be right up there for me.
Really. I think it's a crime we don't have so much live stuff or things like 3121 the movie. Oh well.
Yes.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean, it makes you wonder how much, for me, the video stuff, there's so much stuff out there. And there's stuff there's weird because there's stuff we know about that's been released. There's stuff we know about that hasn't been released. And presumably there's a great deal of stuff we don't know about that hasn't been released that only people who've gone through the vault know about. So the potential is huge.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that was mentioned recently, was the possibility that all that stuff that was shot, from the celebration around the Rainbow Children, that
like Kevin Smith kind of.
Yeah, Kevin Smith shot all that stuff that could see the light of day and could be released. And apparently they said that that's the only stuff that there is of him talking.
That's what I'm sure. I think
being interviewed.
Kevin said that himself.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's really that's sad in a way that's the only stuff. But I don't know for sure. But I mean, it's interesting as well because it's a very specific time in his life.
Yes.
He was probably at that moment he was. I say he's but he's kind of very obviously into religion at that point. And I mean, he always was into religion. But I'm saying in the sense of with the Jehovah's Witness for the ideas, and he was questioning things, and he was kind of interrogating his own religious philosophy. And it's a very
I think after that period of things that happened to him, I think he was probably quite vulnerable as well.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think he's gone through a lot, and you question everything. And I think that's the thing. I think the danger is, I think you mustn't. My concern is you can't take that and say that's Prince.
This is Prince.
To end. It's not. That's Prince in a very specific moment. Now, I'm not making. I don't mean in any way a subjective way. I don't mean good or bad. I'm just saying.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Specific moment that represents that moment. Now, 5 years earlier, 5 years later, it may have been
exactly.
different. So I
the
think
man
you have
was
to kind of just keep it into a,
because he was a chameleon, and he
God,
changed constantly. So
Mm.
as you say, you can't just say this is a representation of what he was about. Yeah.
A big part of his
So
genius was his ability to change image to era
mm,
to
mm,
music.
yeah.
He
I mean,
constantly recreated
I
himself like
mean,
nobody.
any person that can make Jehovah's Witness funky is.
See, they never
I
thought
mean,
of that before. They never thought
no.
make
I
it
mean, do you know
funky.
what I mean? Yeah. That's where they're going wrong, no disrespect, but when they come around, they want to be doing the work, singing the
Yeah.
work, or playing the Everlasting Now.
I can't imagine someone knocking on your door and it being Prince.
I know, amazing that he
Can't
did
imagine.
that. Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
I
Yeah,
would just be like,
you just listen no matter what. You wouldn't shut the door, would you? You just stand there, keep going, Yeah,
yeah, I just,
yeah. I hope
really
you
good.
don't mind. I'm recording our conversation, bringing it back to this.
Oh, but yes,
Dear.
it's incredible, and we just there's so much for Prince to explore. I always think it must be weird because if you're kind of into an artist but only did like I say only, but if they did a couple of albums or whatever, you
Yeah,
know, I just would be it just would
yeah.
be very strange. But to see for
Mm,
me, because
mm,
there's so much with Prince, I feel like somebody asked me the other day, right? They said to me, this is really somebody I worked with once. They said to me, you kind of talked about Prince. You've done these videos, haven't you? Said everything that there is to say. And I was like, I honestly feel like I've barely touched the
touch the
surface.
surface.
I
Yeah,
honestly feel
yeah,
like I've done about 2 or
yeah,
3%. I
yeah,
honestly
yeah.
feel like the amount that can be written about Prince and his
Mm,
cultural impact, his musical impact, his impact
mm,
on music business. I honestly don't feel like I've touched the
mm.
surface. I feel like I've barely begun.
Yeah,
And do you know what, how many
yeah.
artists can you say that you can be a fan of
Mm,
from? I mean, I was what
mm,
14, so
mm.
some years. You can be a fan of that long and still say I
Yeah,
don't feel like I've got a handle on this guy. I don't feel
yeah,
I fully understand. I mean, I would agree with people who say that if you really want to know Prince, listen to his music because it is
yeah,
all out there. Because on one
yeah.
hand, people say I was very secretive and mysterious, and I've said that, but actually his music is an
Mm,
absolute window
mm.
to his soul. Um,
Absolutely.
you know,
Oh, Vault Curator, bless you. Oh, you just bought
oh,
me and
bless
Nightchild a drink.
you.
We'll buy you a drink, mate, in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
So
bless
sorry
you.
I'm late. Hope you both had a great weekend. Yeah, happy 30th to the Love Symbol. The
Oh,
Vault
what a
Curator's in the
star.
house. He's a
What a
great guy.
star.
Yeah.
Wow. That's that can keep the
But yeah,
electricity on.
that'll keep this live stream going for another 5 minutes. Yeah.
I'm actually
Happily.
pedaling underneath here to keep the electricity going.
Yeah. It's like Fred Flintstone. Pedaling away under there. Oh, I don't know. The original idea for the Netflix documentary is to have him narrate it himself by using interviews from his entire career. Hearing what Kevin Smith said makes sense. Yeah.
See, that's good because that has the respect of using Prince's own
Mm,
words, which
mm,
ultimately is the best way
mm,
to do that. I mean,
mm,
let's be honest, however good the Netflix documentary is, there's obviously you have to
mm,
leave certain things out and there's only so
mm,
much you can put in there. But I think it will be a big milestone moment for a lot of people. I think it's going to be the kind of
mm,
recently Bohemian Rhapsody,
mm,
obviously we've had the Elvis movie, things like that really bring an artist
mm,
into mainstream focus again, and I think that documentary is going to do that. I also, there's a bit of an issue about how it's holding up lots of other things. There's talk about, Netflix have got certain rights which have to be excised. So I want them to do a good job. I want them to get it right. Then also, we can free up the music, free the
mm,
music, and get that out. But
mhm,
I think, yeah, I think it's going to be really having
mm.
Prince's own words is actually as much as you can. I think that's
That's the best
key
way,
because
isn't it? Yeah.
whoever talks about Prince, you've all got your kind of own personal view of certain things, and I think
No one agrees totally with what someone else is going to say, or
no. And Prince has said
and
that before. He's like when people
yeah,
talk about him, he's like, well,
yeah,
they can't talk about me. They can talk about their aspect
mm,
of him. I mean, obviously, Prince didn't talk about lots of things, personal things, and
no,
stuff like that. But
no,
I think my concern, my kind of some of these documentaries can be very you know tabloidy. They're very much about the
yes,
personal life rather than. But I
yeah,
think if it's done right and it's done with respect and it's done, and I think
yeah,
that's a key thing. I think
yeah,
there's obviously going to be things perhaps we don't like or things that we wish to be put in, but
mm,
ultimately we want Prince's work out there. And we've said before,
yeah,
this is an ideal moment at
mm,
that time to put Prince concerts on Netflix, get some Prince concerts on Netflix, not just the ones we've seen. Perhaps say, look, we're going to release a couple of unseen concerts, put them on Netflix, get a huge audience. It's a great gateway into Prince. We want him on all these things, and just because you go through Netflix or Prime, and there's loads of concerts and things on there. Just get it out there, and that's the ideal time to do that. Not just have the documentary, but the first thing when people who aren't Prince fans watch the documentary, think, "Wow, that's brilliant. What more can I learn about it?" You say, "Well, here's a concert. Here's an album. Just make it easy."
Yes, exactly. Oh, some people have been to the MPG gig tonight. Deborah, sorry I'm late to the party, guys. Best excuse, I was at the MPG in Cork.
That is the best excuse. How was it? How was it? I mean, I'm sure it's amazing. They bought the house down. Oh, fantastic.
Cool.
Do you know what? When we saw them, they were...
was that back in, when was it? September, August? Can't remember when we saw them now.
Couldn't speak.
I can't remember. It was amazing.
My voice was like...
It was a great night. And my son got to meet Mr. Hayes, so he was made up.
They were very generous, weren't they, as well? They would talk to people, and they really, you could tell they really meant it with their heart, didn't they? And
absolutely.
It was just, it was an amazing night. Edgar said they approached me to source interviews from 81, but in the end, that audio was not you. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, that's actually, that reassures me that they're covering all time periods, that they're really, going for that. Because for me, when I first got into Prince, I heard an interview which was from the Dirty Mind era.
That one, I
had it on vinyl, which obviously would be mad nowadays. But it was interesting because for me, the most interesting thing was the journalist said at the beginning, "I haven't had much time to prepare. I don't really know much about you."
Yes.
And I think that's really good, because you ask questions that perhaps other people later on wouldn't ask. Because, and it was interesting how he talked. Prince, that's probably one of the most open interviews I've seen. He talks about his life. He talks about, just so many aspects of, and he's very
the way he dresses, everything he talks about.
Everything. And I think it's a really fascinating interview for me. It really it was very different to the interviews he gave later.
That was done on tour during Dirty Mind. Was it in Europe, wasn't it? It was
yes, yes it was. I think that's really and for me, I think that's a shame that that audio wasn't usable.
A shame if they couldn't use that. I mean, I know you can hear a lot of traffic going past on that interview in the background, and cars and stuff when he's chatting to him. But
it'd be interesting to see what, let's say, from 81 or what. I mean, I see Edgar's Vault is like, that's quite a compliment when they come to you to source interviews. I mean, that's
wow.
That's pretty cool. Wow,
that is very cool.
Wow.
There you go. We're so honoured to keep such company on it.
No, well, do you know what I like about that? I like the fact that they are, going to the people that know and going to the kind of community, and I think that's really, really important. So that's reassures me, because I know you can't make it perfect for everybody, but this is he said that's a couple of years ago already. This documentary's been I know. I mean, we all wanted to come out with I think the most recent thing I've heard is like,
I think the change of the
23, isn't it?
Yeah, but the change of directors, didn't it, and everything slowed it down, didn't it? And what happened there? So that's partly why. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, when is it due to come out? Next year? Yeah, is that the actual
23? Yeah, I mean,
but do we know when in 23 or just?
I've heard different things. I mean, some people have said autumn, but I don't know.
Really? So a whole year away still?
But it may be spring. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I just.
So you think if there's a whole year away and it's holding stuff up, does that mean we're going to go a year with hardly anything release wise, or what?
I don't. I mean, hopefully it'll be quicker than that, and then. But like I say, it does hold up the start. I mean, that's the only downside to the deal, that there's certain things. But I think it can be a keystone thing, as long as I think get other stuff out there at the time. You want to have not only a live show, but you want to have a project that you can release at the same time. Like an SDE or whatever, because this is an ideal time to capitalize on that thing. And already, I just don't know. And maybe it's just me. I just feel like there's missed opportunities. I mean,
millions.
You should be getting something out September, or October for like or heading towards Christmas. Like, an ideal time. Get a Christmas project out there. Get something. Somebody they can buy for the Prince person in their life, and they can kind of get something out there. But then, like I say, that's already pushing too late.
Yeah, they miss anniversaries. They miss, you could have SDEs for every anniversary that's been, and done them for that, but they don't. They miss piano and a microphone, the one that should have been released.
Oh, I mean, that was a mistaken. Like I said, that should have been the first thing released, and that's been that's. I mean, how much would that? That's filmed. It's ready.
All, Prince was working on all the audio on it, wasn't it? The CD or whatever it was. He was going to do. But I don't know. But there you go. Terrible.
I think it's interesting what Christie said as well. Like there were certain interviews where he was very different. For me, it's really interesting because he gave that interview. The interview you mentioned where it's like, see this ring, see this cane.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful. Yeah. And then he obviously did the Mel B interview, and they're two very different interviews. And when he's relaxed, like I say, he was Tavis, and I just think that when he's relaxed, he gives a very different interview. And I love those interviews where he would just talk. Very openly, and I think I think that sort of I think sometimes he was reluctant to I don't know if he said he'd rather play and kind of certain things, but when he's open and when he talks at length, he's that's what I always loved about Prince. He would always ask the questions and he would think about life and responsibility. Best news, Volker said, was getting the most beautiful girl in the world getting clearance. I mean, that
was ridiculous.
I mean, apparently this is not the only one of those lawsuits. There's other lawsuits from not against Prince, but from Italy, I think it was originally. And that was ridiculous because because it's a lose-lose situation.
It never should have. It never should have come about in the first place. I mean, it's
only lawyers win, and also if no one's put out there, no one's making any money.
Exactly.
Every day, so it's ridiculous. And it's a huge moment for Prince because that moment, the most beautiful girl in the world, changed his career. I mean, that succeeded, and he thought, I can do this on my own. I don't need a big record company. And if that hadn't have worked.
Yeah, that's all because he happened to hear this obscure little Italian, whatever it was, disco track, one day somehow, I like that, I'll copy that, I don't know. The new regime cancelled the DMP love symbol SDE. It was already done. Why?
That's interesting because I mean, obviously, since the deal's been done, Charles Spicer, is it from the estate? Will be very vocal on Twitter, but obviously he represents a certain aspect of it. But to me, the things they have in the can ready, that makes no sense. Like I say, not to get that. I mean, even though I'm not personally in favor of a double SDE, if it's already there, and I've heard, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think it was. Like I say, ready. I think there was artwork. It was literally good to go. So it's there, but that makes you think, well,
why cancel it? Yeah,
you're just losing money. I don't really understand because you put the work in, and it's not, Christie said about remember the most beautiful girl in the world was the first non-print. I remember it so well because I was in the UK and listening, and he got to I can't remember exactly, but it was like 3 or about 4 or 5 minutes, whatever in the charts, and I was listening to the new chart come out and got down to 3, he wasn't there, got down to 2, and I thought he's either number 1 or he's not in the charts at all. I thought it's got to be number 1, and then it came on and it was number 1, and it was fantastic. It was such a great time because there was number 1, and then you've got the situation where even after that track started to fall down, the beautiful the remix EP started to head up the charts, and it was so fantastic because Prince didn't get the amount of number 1s in the UK. Certainly he deserved. He got
number twos and number
with other art. I mean, Chaka Khan was number 1. Sinead number 1. So I mean, it's interesting to me how that was such a key moment, and I was so happy because I thought if anybody deserves a number 1, and it was his first UK number 1, which is insane. I don't understand.
It is insane. I mean,
it's just mad. It's mad. I mean,
I remember they followed it. They followed it up. So I remember after that, and they started playing Love Sign as well on the radio because that was going to be the follow up. I mean, it was so good. And then they weren't allowed to release it.
It's strange because he really deserves so much more. I mean, there's times in America where he was like, number 1 with Kiss and number 2 with Monday kind of.
I know. It's just mad. Test pressings have been made. Madness, God.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, the only thing I can think of is this new, to me, this.
What was it they did release? Announce that they were releasing. What was it? Another more recently? I've forgotten. Terrible. Some reissues again, wasn't it? Though that came up suddenly was like, oh, that's exciting. Yeah. And it misses out. Oh, it's the hits, the B sides, isn't it? That's what it was.
Well, not the B sides.
Not the B sides. Sorry. Yeah, the hits. and so they cancel that and then decide to come out with the hits instead.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, the only thing I think of is the new regime has come in. I mean, to me, I still don't really understand, because as far as I'm concerned, there's the company Primary Wave, and then there's their family, and they seem to own roughly the same amount of the estate. So I just need them to get on, because if they don't get on, there's going to be wranglings. And obviously they've got clear ideas. They've kind of made statements to the family about how they're going to treat things, but they haven't been necessarily specific. But I know from what I've heard, and I might be completely wrong, there's comments from the company that the handover was there, but they weren't interested in it. So I don't know. I mean, there's obviously some internal. We'll probably never know the whole thing, but we need stability. I think whatever your opinion, we need some stability, and we need it to be sorted one way or the other. To get it out there. But it makes no sense. No. I don't really understand.
It's odd, isn't it? Very odd.
It's just no one wins. We've spent. I don't think there's any argument they've spent an enormous amount on lawyers and wrangling, and it's gone on for 6 years. And we need to have a kind of thing where everybody gets on and we get stuff out there, because there's a huge amount of work to do, and at the moment we need to quicken the pace. There's been some great releases, don't get me wrong. 1999 was a brilliant time. Awesome. I actually think 1999 was probably,
that's my favorite.
I think it is my favorite. I think
my favorite. I think the B-sides and all the outtakes are a lot better.
I was expecting Sometimes it's brilliant, but I'm just saying I think 1999 was brilliant, and some of the tracks we didn't know about, and I think
it sounds better as well.
We need to keep that kind of that pace. There's so much to do. There's so much work to do, and we need the next 10 years to be huge. And Prince, personally, I don't think is anywhere kind of high up in certain. I know it's not all about numbers, but in terms of social sort of recognition, to the point he should be. He's respected a great deal, but I think the more people hear the work, I think personally, Prince's legacy in 10 years could be huge, even much bigger than it is now. I really do. I think the potential's there, but it's all about how they handle
how they tap into it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 1999 SDE is the benchmark. Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, I was so impressed. I mean, I love the album.
It's a small package that contains a lot. It's amazing.
The thing is, it's just phenomenal. It's just so many great things, and I loved it. I was just blown away.
I think, as I said, I think the mix as well, the sound's better than the Sign of the Times as well. I enjoyed the B-sides. Definitely got more to them than the.
I kind of like it, because I was surprised, weren't you? Like, just I don't know. I was just surprised by it.
That was just amazing. It was just worth it for his version. Oh God, why is it? Oh God, it's gone. I hate that when your mind goes. The track that was originally on, the Minneapolis Genius thing. They did a version, and he updated it. Oh, Do Yourself a Favor.
Do Yourself a Favor. Oh yes, yes.
Oh God, I love that. Oh, I love that so much. Do you know so uplifting.
Even the originals. I love the originals. I really did.
I love originals. Originals is great.
For me, there should have been originals too. There's enough material out there. There's enough stuff to do that, and I think
you're
making me think of 1999. They kind of like the new Power Generation, the original.
Oh yeah, great. The early versions of those.
Yeah, and no, I think you're right. I think that's that sound though is very fresh. Still,
it is,
fresh.
Isn't it? Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
I think that album has aged very well.
It has. I'd agree with that. Definitely. Yeah. Volkrat, the discography is the legacy. We can't allow it to stagnate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. We always said the first thing you need to do is get everything out there. And that includes associated artists and everything, and the live performance. It needs to be every tour. It needs to be out there and things like that. But you're right. The discography is the absolute bedrock of it, and it's a huge discography. And I understand it's daunting. I mean, so far what they've tended to do, this is the old regime though, but they've tended to focus on the big, big sellers. It's been almost
Purple Rain, 1999, Sign of the Times.
It's almost been kind of sales. And
driven,
obviously people were saying, well, what will be next? Will it be Parade? Then it was Diamonds and Pearls and Love Symbol or not. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they go from that. But to me that's great. But the pace, I know some people defend it, say, well, there's a lot of different things. I understand that, and I know it's probably easier to say it from my position, but also, when you think of all the albums there are, you think, how far are we gonna, how long is it gonna take to get there? But yeah, I mean, I know we've had a lot of great stuff, and we are spoiled compared to. Don't get it wrong, there are other estates that get virtually nothing.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we must, as you say, when you say thinking about what has been released, when you actually think about it, you go, oh, actually, it's not that bad. When you go through, you've got Welcome to America, you've got Originals, Piano and Microphone, Purple Rain Deluxe, Son of the Times Deluxe, 1999 Deluxe. Then that's about the Record Store Day releases. You had The Truth on vinyl. You've had, oh God. So you can go at Planet Earth, all the reissues, 3121, One Night Alone. They've all been reissued. So there has been a lot of stuff.
But then Prince fans we have high standards.
We do.
We're demanding a lot, aren't we?
We are. That's true. That is true.
But we will support these projects. If they're amazing project, we'll support them, and the hunger is there. It's not like like people are. I understand people say, and I think this is fair enough. People said, some people said, well, look, I can't afford a big box SDE all the time, and that's why I think you have that maybe once a year, but
once
you
a year,
intersper it with other things. You intersper it with, if you just want to buy a live video, do that. And the amount of people who have said to me, a website where you can just download tracks, you can buy the tracks, you can download concerts, you can do those things from a central hub, a website. So if people can't afford much, they can say, well, I'm just going to buy this concert, I'm just going to buy this album and have everything in one place. I mean, Prince obviously toyed with the idea so much with the NPG, MC, and the whole kind of music club idea, and just having that central hub. I know they have a website, but not in the way you need to be able to, just access the whole discography.
Yeah, absolutely. We're bringing back something like MPG Music Club, isn't it? Would be a good step. A good way to do it. So absolutely brilliant. Well, I think we're coming to a close. I think soon. I think we've been on here almost 2 hours.
God, I can't believe that. Sorry, once we start talking, we're like two blokes in the pub. We are two blokes.
Honestly, we go on and on and on and on. It's terrible, and it never feels like it's enough time. But
it doesn't. They said, do you know how many people would become Prince fans if they released the right stuff? Oh, you're right. I mean, Lovesexy should be, well, like I say, there's get me started, but there's so much.
Exactly, it's ridiculous.
I think people see it and they'll be like, wow.
Absolutely, get that Dortmund show on a Blu-ray, get it out there. Oh God, someone who was at the last show in Atlanta said there was no cameras. Anybody know for sure? I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought everything was filmed. I mean, Prince filmed at every show he ever did, pretty much, even if it was just for his own, personal thing to watch it back, to learn, so the band could watch where they made mistakes or whatever.
That's the thing about Prince. You could do the concert and then you look back and how to improve it. I mean, that's part of the success.
Oh, don't forget to change your clock back 1 hour. if you're in if you're in this part of the world, clocks go back tonight.
Oh, excellent. So we've only really been on for an hour. Then we're fine.
Oh, that's good. We'll keep going then. Well, right, where's that? Where those questions? We'll do the quiz now.
I think we should come back to our Christmas quiz. I think I'll put that idea out there now.
Okay, you put it out there. Yeah, we'll think about that. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, definitely. And we will be back soon as well with our album reviews.
Yes, indeed.
We're going to continue that series all the way to the end eventually. So we're up to I think we're doing a Time album next, aren't we?
Yes, indeed. Right.
Ice Cream Castles, I think, is what we're.
Your Neapolitan vinyl out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll be coming with that. I don't know, maybe this year. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. Once I can get the Nightchild to get some work done.
I know.
Come on.
I've been on a sabbatical.
He's on a sabbatical. Yeah. Hey, quiz. Yes, good to see you both. Good to see everybody. We know he had the Atlanta audio recorded professionally. Yes, yeah. There we go. But I want to thank everyone for showing up.
It means the world.
Honestly, it does mean the world. The fact that you all come and watch is just amazing. Listen to us rambling on about all things Prince.
I always feel bad because, I'm sure there are people who do very well researched presented shows, but we just just like to talk about the guy who changed our lives. That's what we do. We just talk about I mean, I wouldn't have met Ants without Prince. I wouldn't have met anybody online. It's opened up a whole new world to me, and Prince has been that constant throughout every aspect of my life. So yeah,
absolutely, brought us all together.
I feel like I always feel like a kid at the grown-ups table, like I've kind of snuck in and I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, that's the Love Symbol 30th anniversary celebrations coming to a close. Can you believe it? Next year, what'll be next year? God, what it'll become? Oh my God, 1993 become 30th anniversary. Bloody hell!
That makes me feel old. You're making me feel older every year.
Yeah. Oh my God. Incredible. Anyway, on that note, we'll love you and leave you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everyone. Much appreciated. And we will see you all again very, very soon. Keep it purple. In broadcast.